Okay, this is week 11 S180. This week is chapter 10. Make sure and go over the chapter 10 notes. This is going to be on string manipulation and menus. And as always, follow the examples in your text for chapter 10 and read through those and do the examples in Visual Studio as you're reading them before you attempt your assignment. Also, quiz, as always, for Chapter 10, discussion on week 11 for Chapter 10 as well. For this week on the discussion, it's basically replying on how do flowcharts work and the reasoning behind flowcharts. So let's go ahead and look at the program example for this week, which is Program Tutorial 1, Guess the Word Game. It's on pages 550 through 562. Tutorial 1, you're going to get 20 extra points as always for adding any extra formatting, colors, or even code to your program. Just make sure in order to get the 20 points you do need to add when you submit in the message area what you did to the program, so I can be looking for that when I look at your program when I grade it. So let's go and look at the application. When you're finished with the application, this is what it should look like. Always put your information here at the top, as always. Your option explicit, strict, and infer is off. We have some public class variables. Two of them, in fact. One is called word, the other is string. Word is string and a private incorrect as integer. Got a function here, or a sub, called enable disable buttons, passing a value called setting as enable into this. So let's look at the interface before we go further in the code. The interface has a menu, which this chapter goes over. Menus are found in your toolbar here on the left side when you're adding in a menu. You've got multiple different types of menus within Visual Basic. And you'll be using, for this week, in the menu strip item. When you throw the menu strip item up, it gives you the option to add multiple menus. Shortcut keys in the menus, this is the Alt-N and Alt-X. And then also you can tell it to the right of it what that key option is. If you click on the actual menu itself and you go into the property, you'll notice in the text it has the ampersand, new game. It puts an underline to the left of the N. But you can also add your default keys in here as well. When you click on this drop down, you can click Control and then some letter, and it'll put it here in the actual menu type. So for this one, again, a menu for new game and exit. We have here a label, 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 and label. This is for the secret word to show up, the incorrect guesses. Here is a panel. Just a note on a panel, when you're adding objects into a panel, add the panel first to your form and then the objects second and drag them into the form or into the panel. It'll be easier for you. And these are multiple buttons, A through Z. When the user fires up the application, they click on New Game and they're asked to enter in a 5-letter word only. Before they do, a couple things happen. Empties out the word label and incorrect label, which are these two here. Word label and incorrect label are emptied out. The global variable incorrect that was declared at the top of the code is set to 0. Word equals input box. Input box in Visual Basic is just that. It's a box that pops up and lets the users input data. The first argument for an input box is going to be the prompt the user sees. Next is going to be the title the user sees on the text box. And in this week, it doesn't have you add another one, but you can also do a default response that you would want them to enter in if they were to, just have an example or something in there for them. The .2 upper will convert whatever they type in, regardless upper or lowercase, to a 2 upper. There is also available to you 2 lower as well, not just 2 upper. And 2 lower would convert it to all lowercase. The next if then else statement validates that the word is indeed 5 characters long. If word.length is not equal to 5, or else word is like, and then it gives here A through Z. So it's going to be either one of the two. If it's not equal to 5, or the word is like, and then this gives basically not A through Z at all, meaning there's no letters at all in this word. It may be only numbers. Then it's going to kick out, please enter 5 letters only. Meaning that this only lets the user enter in characters or letters only, not numbers. So kick out a message box that says please enter 5 letters only. Guess the word for the title. OK for the button, and information is the icon. If it is 5 letters exactly, it's going to take and put in 5 dashes into the word label.text right there. Then it's going to call the sub enable disable buttons true. Now if you right click on a sub or a function that's in your code and click go to definition, it's going to go right there to that definition that's been created. A little shortcut to help you. So if it's set to true here, it's going to set all these buttons below to true for the user to be able to click on. Now let's go to the buttons here. Remember, these are all on the label or a panel. So if I, for instance, click on the D button, what this is put in is a sub for the handle of a click event for every one of the buttons. So it's a click event handle. The reason I know that is I've handles A button.click all the way through Z button.click. So anytime any one of the buttons are clicked, A through Z, here through here, is going to fire this piece of code starting in this line, because they're all firing the click event. Declare a couple of variables. Click button as button. Dash replaces Boolean. It does a try cast, and this is going to convert the button, whatever button they've clicked, into the click button variable, which is a button. Then it's going to disable that button that they've clicked on. Since they've already clicked on, it won't be able to be used again. Then it does a for next loop, and it's going to loop 0 to 4 for index as integer equals 0 to 4. If the current letter in the word matches the player's letters, replace the associate dash with the word label, and then indicate that a replacement was made. Word contains the word, the 5-letter word that was entered above when they clicked on the game, new game, that was put into the word variable, the public variable for this application. So it's going to loop through if word 0, 1, it's a start index in the first place is going to be 0. And it's going to retrieve only 1, meaning that first letter, one at a time basically, as a loop. Let's go ahead and show what it looks like here. I'll go ahead and add a new game. I'll put in Lotto. And I'm going to go ahead and put some breakpoints here in the code. Put one here on the button. I'm going to go and do C. Right now index is 0. On the first one, and on the second one, on the second one, not found anywhere on the third letter, fourth, and that's going to be the last one, the fourth. And notice here, the dash replace is false because dash replace will never be true unless a character, a letter that the user presses here matches one of the letters in the secret word. So we're going to go here to the call check status. If dash status is true, it's not, it's false. It'll go to the false else path. Now it's going to take that global variable incorrect, which is now 0. And notice it makes it 1 now. It updates the label for the incorrect label to 1. We'll see that here in a second. Now if the incorrect reaches 10, the game is over. You have to start over again. Let's go ahead and play it. So there's one incorrect guess. Still 5 letters. I already know what the word is. I'm going to hit L. We'll try it again here. We know this one's in. That's the very first letters L. I put in L as a button click. So it should actually get it on that very first one, on the very first letter within word.substring. Because remember, it's going to go L0 or L-O-T-T-O. So word label.text is going to take and remove 1, that very first index, which is 0. It's replacing that dash. Here, it's replacing it with the text of the button, which is a click button text I pushed was L. So it's removing the dash from the 0 placement, and it's adding a L to the 0 placement. The dash replace is true. It's going to keep going through all these in case there's another L in there. I think we're now on 4, so we should be going to the call check status. It's true. So if word.text.contains this dash equals false, meaning it doesn't contain any dashes. If it doesn't contain dashes, the game's over, but it still does contain dashes, so it continues on. Now let's find 2 letters, which is the O. It's going to should be found in the second index for loop. First one is not going to be found. We're now on the second index, which is 1. We have 0, then 1. There we go. It removed the second dash, replaced the second dash here on this line with an O. Now it's going to the next, which is T. Next T. Next O. There we go. So it's replacing the 4th index dash, removing it, adding and inserting the O. Okay, and then we'll finally do the T, which should be index 2 and 3. We're on index 1. There's 2. There we go. Remove index 2. Insert index 2 with the T letter. Now we should be going to index 3 this next time around. There we go. This next for loop, or for next. There we go. Removing index 3 dash. Inserting index 3 dash with a T. Calling check status. Now we're calling check status. Dash status is true because they found 2 T's in the program. Now if word.label.text contains a dash, which it shouldn't now because they're all taken up, it should be false. There's our message box. Great guessing. It's going to call the enable disable buttons again, which is going to set all the boxes back to false because the game's over and they guessed correctly. And now I can start over again. I'm going to show you another thing before we end here. When you're debugging like I just did by putting in a breakpoint, as I just did in this application to show you, Visual Basic 2010 Express, you can click on the breakpoint once to take it away, click on it again to add it, or you can right click, delete breakpoint. And that concludes the Guess the Word game for week 11. If you do have any questions, always email me. Otherwise, have a great week.